Hey everybody, my name is Dave Swartz and welcome to another live episode of Dose of Dave. Today we are talking about financial fears. I know this is again a tough subject for a lot of us. I think fear is a real thing, especially when it comes to money and your financial security. So I want to talk today about my story, about my experience with finances and my fears when it comes to how much money I have and all that sort of stuff. So, and then I want to talk about how I've, in a way, transformed my way of looking at it and how I can now use this new perspective to help me and get to guide me in these periods of financial fear, so that I'm not, again, working against myself, and I'm using it in order to transform myself into a better version of who I am. So my story when it comes to finances, I started working when I was in high school. I think my very first job was a busser at Big Boy. It was one of those like really terrible, like gross first jobs, right? I was 14 years old. I remember how disgusting all of the jobs were because you had to, you're basically washing dishes that are covered in half-eaten meals, so there's food scraps everywhere. There's water everywhere. You're soaked basically from like your toes up to your chest. And, you got to take out garbage. You got to deal with all that. You got to deal with all the oil. You got to deal with all that crap. The worst of the worst jobs, is just all of that job. So, but in a way, I learned to embrace it because I knew I had to do it. So I just dove into it and I taught myself like, hey, this is gross, but I'm just going to do it anyway, and I think in a way I didn't learn a lesson there. But when it came to earning money, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, I like the fact that I can, afford some things, that I can buy my own stuff. It was like the first time in my life that because I had a little bit of an allowance, but it was nothing essentially, like nothing that you could really, I think, save up very much money to buy anything. So I really enjoyed the money, the financial freedom of that. But eventually I just got so sick and tired of doing that job. I wanted to just find something better. So, after a while I looked around and couldn't find much, but then I found that there was a job opening through my mom and the gym that she was going to, where they were looking for a cleaner. So I started doing cleaning at this gym. Now, not an entirely, remarkable step up. But again, it taught me more about hard work and actually like paying attention to details and not, skimping on the small things and, doing a good job. Because I had a stickler of a boss and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting constantly yelled at. So, but then again, I was making even more money and that was really nice. However, at that point it was like, all right, now I am 15, 16, 17. I got gas I got to pay for. I have other, subscription things that I've been paying for, things like that. I wanted to, be able to afford other things. So it was like all these financial things are starting to happen. Plus the fact that I understand that in the future, I'm going to have to start, saving up for, college and all the supplies that I need for college and all those other, financial burdens. And then again, as I continued to develop and get higher up in that job, because I worked up from like a cleaner up until someone working behind the counter. So I was doing like sales and check-in and all that sort of stuff. So I was making even more money. But now I'm like, all right, I bought a new car. Now I got a car payment. I got insurance payments. I've got, these other things that I wasn't paying for before. So the bills are starting. And that's the beginning of, I think, your financial anxiety, right? So I'm going to take a detour from the story to talk a little bit about how it kind of begins, right? So you are sort of in a way under this survival mode because you have to pay that off. You have to to earn enough money to pay off that bill to keep going. And you know you have another one and another one and another one. And the knowing that you have another one and another one and another one, and it's constant burden, it puts you in a mode of survival because you're concerned about how you're going to pay for those, how you're going to pay for the next one, and how you're going to pay for the next one. So you're looking for some means to be able to give you the security, the financial security, to alleviate you of that financial anxiety. So you're looking for, a job, you're looking for, some kind of means to create that or generate that income for yourself. A lot of us work these 9-to-5 jobs, as I'm describing here. After I got out of that, I quit the gym thing because I think I worked there for almost 10 years. I really, milked it for all it was worth. But I moved on to, I worked at a framing shop at Michael's, just because I couldn't find any other work. It was, right after I graduated college, and the market crashed and everything. So there was just nothing available. So I took what was available, but I also took something that was still going to give me some kind of experience, even though, like I talked about before, like the busser and the, gym job, like, still gave me experience, even though it was a terrible, like, kind of gross job at times. I felt like it still taught me something about who I was, and it taught me more about what I was capable of. So as I, moved on to greater things, I started making even more money because I started working at this marketing company doing graphic design. And at that point, I started to realize, okay, now I can truly kind of like get up on my feet and like get out there and like get an apartment and be all by myself and like do that sort of thing. Because up until that point, I honestly didn't have the financial stability to do that. A lot of people would probably get credit cards, but in college I was taught like the fear of credit cards. That's another aspect of financial fear for me, that is, similar to some, but different, because I never have had a credit card. And I'm actually kind of paying the price for that right now because I don't really have much in the way of credit. So I'm building my credit right now, by other means. But the thing about it is that's another avenue of financial fear, or another layer, I should say, that adds to this overall feeling of anxiety and fear whenever you think about money or whenever you think about your financial burdens. So after I, got into this graphic design job, started making more money, started, getting out on my own, had an apartment. I had much more in the way of bills, utilities, Wi-Fi, food, like that's a huge one. We got to think about that. So all of these things together, create like this massive, budgetary financial burden up on your shoulders. That's incredibly difficult unless you have, a high-paying job that provides you that financial security, right? But oftentimes, for a lot of us, it's difficult to find that job. And oftentimes, even if you do find that job, it may not be the job that you really want, honestly. It's probably going to be a job after the end of the day, you're going to just go home and go, oh God, like another day of this, I've been there. And a long time ago, after I worked all my way up through that marketing company to creative director, I decided I got to do something for me. I got to change my life in the direction where I can utilize my skills to create the life that I want to live for myself, where every day is exactly how I want it to be, to a certain extent. Because like I've discussed before in these shows, your best laid plans are always going to go awry because the universe is a co-creator. You're only a co-creator of your experience. So you have to allow for that other creator, that outside universal force, to come through and flow with that through the changes, through the accidents, through the obstacles in your day, so that you can get onto the other things and move past it rather than being stuck behind because you're upset that something went wrong. And that fully falls into this category of financial fear, where you can go throughout your day and you can spend money and you can have this anxiety of, oh God, like another $50 $100 or another $100, you know, or whatever it may be. But that in and of itself, you're creating that energy of fear, that lack of not having enough, not having what you need to be financially secure. And that creates a sense of survival, right? That's not a good place for anyone to stay in a sustained place, right? So in my mind, what I've sort of been trying to do, God, I always say that. You're not trying, Dave, you're doing. Because when you say trying, it means you are trying. You're constantly trying. You're not doing, right? So I'm doing this now. When I think about my financial burdens or when I am spending money, I don't think about what I'm losing. I think about what I'm gaining. You know, I think a lot of us focus way too much on what we're losing in life or what we're being cheated out of in life, rather than all the other opportunities that we're gaining. Because even if we're being cheated out of something, even if someone is stealing money from us, or even if something is happening where, you know, you're not the one making it out, you know, on the other side, on top, that experience still teaches you something about yourself. It still gives you an opportunity to say, hey, do I have the capacity to understand this experience beyond my own personal pain, beyond my own personal grief? You know, can I expand my consciousness into a place that takes into account the collective, into this moment? And I think that is where you start to really truly transcend these ideas of anxiety, or these, I should say, feelings and emotions of anxiety and fear when it comes to finances. You know, I practice this a lot where, you know, when I go to the grocery store, for example, this is a major thing for me. You know, I every week, you know, we have these planned meals, you know, like we do themed weeks. So this past week was chicken week. I know it's kind of lame, but, you know, we've been doing this for about 2 years, so it's difficult trying to cycle through them. But anyway, so we did chicken week, and you know, I had all the menu put together. I had all of the ingredients I needed to buy, and plus all those things that I needed for the house, and I had it all, you know, put together. And I kind of had a feeling of how much it would be. And then we get to the store, and ultimately, you know, there are things that I forget about that we need, or there are things that Liz just wants because, you know, she has something that I wasn't anticipating that she's working on that we need to add to the cart. So, you know, by the time we get to the end, you know, it's like, I want to keep that under $100. Like, I want to try to do it $100 every week. And inevitably, it's always like 110 or 120 or 130. You know, sometimes it's even as high as like 160. I'm like, oh God, you know, but that's when you're buying alcohol and you know, all kinds of extra stuff. So anyway, but when it comes to all of that, it's like I gotta stop thinking about, you know, exceeding all of these expectations that I've set, right? I know you have budgets and everything, and I get that, you know, but at the same time, you also have to remember that money comes to you easily and often. If you repeat that mantra to yourself in those moments and think to yourself about all the value of all of the things that you are buying, you know, don't think about the money that's going away from your bank account. Like, literally look at all the vegetables and think about your stomach, and think about the fact that those vegetables are going to sustain you. To think about that those fruits are going to sustain you. Think about that those, you know, other items that you bought to create the beautiful, creative, and tasty meals that you're going to make for yourself and your family are valuable to your experience. They're valuable to your life. They're valuable to your existence as a human being. And to discount that in that moment, and to only think about the financial burden of what you're expending here, and the loss of the money, you're missing something in the greater perspective of that moment. So what I'm trying to show is there's that one example. Now we can extrapolate that into other examples or moments throughout our day, when we're, buying, or when we're spending money on bills, when we're paying our landlords, when we're paying utilities, when we're dealing with the cable company, whatever it may be, when something breaks, like your printer or your computer, or, my computer screen computer screen is totally effed right now. I need a new computer badly. And I'm working on manifesting the money to do that. And like I've said before, I manifested $3,000 out of fucking nowhere. And yes, I am using that to build my fund for this computer and other things in my life that are going to make it beautiful. I'm having 3 weddings this summer, but it's going to be beautiful on a budget. I mean, it doesn't have to be this thing where you go out and you just spend. I'm not saying to spend without regard. Spend with regard. Spend with the feeling that you want to spend your money as wisely as you possibly can. Being frugal is not a bad thing. When I go shopping, I'm it's not like I'm buying the worst possible things because it's cheap. I'm buying the stuff that I feel like is the best quality for what it is. However, I am not over expending for something that's incredibly expensive, because there's a wide range at the store, and there's a wide range on Amazon and wherever you else may shop. But I think at the end of the day, again, if you spend your money wisely and you spend it with this energy within your soul, within your being, within your mind, within your heart, within your gut, that you're getting value for the things that you're buying, for the beauty of your life, that adds amazing quality to your life, value to your life. That's what's more important. And holding that energy while you're doing the act, while you're in the moment, while you're pressing the button, while you're paying out the money, while you're putting the card in the slot, that's what makes the difference. So if you practice that over and over, every time you spend money, or every time you think about money, every time you look at your bank account, you think, when you look at your bank account, I am so grateful for the financial freedom that I have to purchase the things that make my life beautiful. There, that's all you need to say. And you don't even need to say it out loud. You can just hold that in your heart, hold it in your being. That energy alone will transmute this financial anxiety and actually put it to work for you, where you're going to be telling the universe, this is what I want. These things that I spend this money on is what I want in my life. I don't need the money. A lot of people are saying, or wanting, or manifesting, I want, X amount of money. I want X amount of money. And I'll be honest, I'm, a culprit of that. But honestly, I think a lot of it is more importantly put towards the things that you want in your life, the things that's going to create the beauty around you, that's going to fill you with passion. I'm on this like fine art kick right now, this abstract art kick right now. It's been a couple of months, and I am utterly enthralled with it, and it's making me utterly enthralled with other artistic forms of expression and creation. I mean, we just went to the store the other day and we bought all these paper flowers for our wedding. And these things are not anything that I would have ever picked out if it were just me. But the thing is my experience, my opportunities, the people that are in my life, the people that I have allowed into my life intimately, have shown me different perspectives, and that has made me grow as a person. It has made me a better person. It has made me a better version of who I am, because I'm more open. My heart is more open to possibility. It's more open to color and life. It's amazing, And I want that for everyone, because I see it. When you're in it more, when you vibrate at that energy, it opens you up to seeing it more within life, seeing it in people, seeing it in things, seeing it in moments. And I want to nurture that. It's like a gardener with a garden. I want to put nutrients into the soil, and I want to, water my garden, and I want to put some sunshine all over it. You know what I mean? And not to get too flowery, but that's what life is all about. Transmuting moments and breaking cycles, karmic cycles, to embrace love and all the beauty that comes with that. I love that. Beautiful. Anyway, we've, I think, said enough for financial fear. I think I've tied it up pretty well. So again, if you guys are interested in any more topics, that I haven't covered, that you're really interested in yourself, that you would really find interesting for me to talk about, direct message me on any of my social media platforms, or comment on this video below, and I'll do my best to work it in one day. We'll see what happens. And again, don't feel like you can't comment or ask a question while I'm rambling. If I say something and you have a thought and you want to ask a question, feel free. That's what I want to do, is be here for people to ask questions. And, if you have a particular perspective that you want to share, that may even be different than mine, I want to hear. So, all right. Until next week, you guys can find me on social media. My handle is @DaveSwartzArt, or you can click the links below. I'm also still running my comic book crowdfunder on IndieGoGo. Confederate Monster is its name. You can also find that in the link below. And if you're even more interested in the art that I create, fine art that I create, and the comic book work that I make, you can follow and subscribe on my Patreon with the link below as well. Okay. Also, I always forget about the Higher Consciousness podcast. I also do a podcast with my now fiance, Elizabeth Rainbow Liz. We do a podcast where we smoke pot and we talk about the universe and reality and all kinds of crazy mind-bending stuff. And we actually have a new weekly show that we're doing, a Wake and Bake show on Thursday afternoon at noon Eastern Standard Time. So you guys can check all that out on the link below as well, because I believe I put the Higher Consciousness link down there. I'm pretty sure I did. If I didn't, I'll put it down there after. Okay. Take care, guys. And as always, I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week.